I am joined here by Kevin, who is community manager at Snapshot Games, who is going to be talking us through a demo of Phoenix Point. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. How is everything going at Res for you?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been an exciting day so far.
Wonderful. Well, what better way to round it out than to talk us through the exciting world of Phoenix Point? What are we looking at here?
Right, so this is the main strategic layer for Phoenix Point. So if you don't already know, Phoenix Point is a strategy and tactical turn-based squad shooter. So easiest comparison to make is to Xcom.
Yeah.
And that's quite fitting because our creative director is Julian Gollop, who made the original Xcom. So
Yes.
very much where this game has its roots. So this is the strategic layer. This is the Earth. And this game, Phoenix Point, is set in sort of a post-apocalyptic Earth. There's been a Third World War. There has been rising sea levels. The permafrost has melted. And it's released a virus that's been trapped in the ice for millennia, the Pandora virus. And this virus has started to mutate all of the life on Earth.
Oh,
and it's affected plants, it's affected animals, but it's also affected humans as well. And everyone's starting to mutate. And the few pockets of humanity that are left are fighting for survival.
Yikes. It's still a brighter future than our current one.
Yes, yes. And all of these little sites that you can see around, there's only a couple of them here so far. We start in our base. You start as the Phoenix Project, who is an ancient organization that has sort of changed throughout the ages, but they've always existed to sort of counter this type of threat should it ever befall humanity.
Right.
And as the Phoenix Project, you start at Phoenix Point, the name of the game, which is the one single Phoenix cell that you are aware of. You've had total communications blackout from the other Phoenix Project cells. You don't know what's happened to them. And part of the game is going to be sort of exploring the world, finding where those other cells are, reactivating them, re-establishing communications. But along the way, you're also going to be meeting those pockets of humanity, the independent havens where humans gather for safety.
Right.
And there's also 3 big factions in the game as well. So you have New Jericho, who are a very sort of militaristic private army that actually sort of were born from a sort of a weapons development company and private army. You've then got the Disciples of Anu, who are a very sort of religious cult-like group of people who sort of embrace the mutation. They want to sort of integrate it into their own bodies. They want to take on this change to humanity. And then finally you've got Synedrian, who are a very democratic but high-tech and scientifically minded people, and they want to sort of live in harmony with the Pandora virus, but at the same time they want to sort of protect mankind from the ravages that this plague is having on the planet.
Are these factions hostile to you, or...?
Sometimes they can be. So you will have different reputations with those different factions. You can see that along here at the top of the screen. You've got the icons for New Jericho, Synedrian, and Anu. And as you progress around this strategy layer and you complete missions for them, and there are various different events as you travel from point to point, you will be able to gain or lose reputation with them depending on the actions that you take.
Right.
So you can get friendly with them, you can form alliances with them, but you can also be hostile with them as well. And you will end up at some point having to fight at least one of them because they don't really like each other, so you're not going to be able to keep them all friendly.
Why can't we all get along? That's what I want to know.
So we're starting here at the moment in this red area. Now this is actually these red areas indicate where the virus is at its worst. This is the black mist that this virus creates. It sort of creeps up over the lowland, and the only places that are really safe to be is high ground, which is why Phoenix Point survived, because it's sort of halfway up the side of a mountain. It's out of the reach of the mist. But these mist areas expand. We don't know what's causing the mist. We don't know where it comes from. We have no way to repel it yet. But the Pandora virus activity is always sort of highest in these areas.
Right.
So we can start by having a look around. We can go to these different sites. Now this is a pre-alpha build of the game, so there are many elements that we haven't put in there yet. But as we travel around, we can see we've got a New Jericho haven here. The leader doesn't particularly like us. We can keep moving around and see what we can uncover. There are some sort of neutral and independent havens. And as we move around, we find we've got a Disciples of Anu one there. Now, we can build radar stations. Radar stations cost us resources, but they will show us some more points of interest on the map. So the positioning of these points of interest is always the same. They are preset, but the actual things that are at these points will be different every time you play. So there's lots of variety for each new game.
How is time, like the time it takes you to travel, is time against you in this game? You know, is there a growth of the virus?
Yeah, so at the moment the game is paused, but every time we move between 2 points, the game will automatically unpause as we're travelling. We can just go ahead and just let the game play on, and we can even speed it up. So you've got that sort of element to the real time. So as you can see, what's just happened there is we've actually got this independent haven has now started to become under attack, and they're calling for help. So the game's automatically paused. We've got our squad on board. We've got 6 troops here. These represent their different classes. We've got 2 snipers. We've got a heavy. We've got 2 assaults, and we've got a technician. So these guys are already equipped. So there is squad management in here, so you'll be able to go in and assign different weapons, different amounts of ammunition, different armor and equipment to all of your guys.
What was that? That was an impressive looking
gun.
gun.
That's the heavy. He's got the Hellfire cannon there, so this fires like single shot
God, look at the size of
heavy
that.
ballistics. It's sort of one round per shot, but if it hits, it does a lot of damage. This thing hurts when it hits. We've got our sniper there. It's obviously fairly straightforward. He's very, very good at range. We've got our standard assault guy with an assault rifle, and somewhere in there we've also got a technician who has a PDW, and he's also got these sort of exoskeleton arms that he can use to repair vehicles and heal people. He's got a handy little turret that he can deploy as well. There are drivable vehicles in Phoenix Point as well, so we don't start with any in this particular demo, but you can get those, and they make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
They're not easy to come by. So if we'll go ahead and fly over to that haven, and we can see straight away that it tells us what type of enemies that will be
Alien
facing.
Crabman.
So the Crabmen are kind of the grunts of Phoenix Point. They're the sort of first bad guys that you'll encounter, and you'll see them quite a lot throughout the game. So we'll jump in so we can actually have a look at the tactical battles, which is sort of the meat of the Phoenix Point experience.
Is a Crabman a mutated crab or a mutated man?
It's a little bit of both.
Oh, it's a bit of both.
We have a lot of story around Phoenix Point, and we've been working on the story for a long, long time. It's actually been written by a combination of Dr. Alan Stroud, who has worked on the Elite Dangerous novels, among other things, and also Jonas Karatzis, who wrote the story for Talos Principle.
Oh, cool.
And those guys have been working on the story for this for probably about 3 years now.
Oh, wow, right.
If you go onto our website, onto phoenixpoint.info, we've got an archive there which just has loads of short stories that have been written about the Phoenix Point world. It's not essential reading before playing the game, but it really does give you lots of little bits of lore about how all these events happen. And one thing that people really like with these is that they are not presented in any particular order, and it's a lot of fun trying to piece them all together and work out what order everything happens in. So
that's cool.
that is some good reading there. So we shall have a look around. So as you can see, we've got this sort of 3D tactical view here. We have ourselves a few enemies. There is our first Crabman. He's actually hiding behind a lot of cover there. So you asked if they're crab or man. The way the Pandora virus works is it kind of just compels things to travel and enter the sea. And then it just kind of breaks down everything into a big pool of biomatter and DNA and then sort of reassembles it. So it has all of these building blocks that it can use to put things together. And one of the things that we have in Phoenix Point that we're really proud of, because it kind of makes the game unique in this way, is that the enemies that are in the game can actually evolve. So each different enemy type has a variety of different body parts. If we can go ahead, we can just go and take a quick look if I zoom it. So we've got this guy. Oh, because I'm not looking at the keyboard. There we go. So we've got this Crabman here now. Obviously, from my experience, I can sort of look at them and know roughly you know, what this guy's got here. Let me just put this on the free rotation so I can have a bit more control of the camera. This is actually something that a lot of people ask for, the ability to rotate the camera freely without it snapping to 90 degrees. So crabmen are made up of a series of mutations. They have a left arm, a right arm, a left arm, set of legs, a head and a torso, and they can all be different.
Right.
And if you find a particular crabman that you are dealing with really easily, then at some point in the future it'll change. It'll get a different head or a different set of arms, and that will give it different abilities.
Right.
And your current tactics might not work against it anymore.
Oh, so they're like, oh, this guy tends to play like this with this particular character.
Yeah. So you know, if
is that arm, the thick arm, is that more shielded?
Yeah. So this particular guy on his left arm there, he's got a shield, and that's got a lot of armor, and he can actually deploy that down in front of him. Other options might include things like a grenade launcher.
Right.
So if you keep your squad very close together, they'll probably switch to using grenades. This guy also has a pincer claw on his right arm, so this is a melee attack guy. They can have a machine gun as well. There's another option. But this particular head, this is a new head that we've added for this build. This is the spitter head, so this can actually spit poison.
Oh god.
And it's got the agile legs, so
this guy's a nightmare.
Move quite quickly. So yeah, he's going to be quite tough. So you will discover new mutations as you play through the game, and you know they all have different sort of aesthetics. So after a while, you look at them and go, "Well, I know what that head is. I've seen that before. I recognise what that's going to do." So we'll go ahead.
The game doesn't explicitly tell you, "Oh, this is a spitter enemy."
No, at least not when you first find them. You will eventually you'll have to do some research, and you'll start to uncover what these different mutations are and the way that they work. And if you start to get friendly enough with the disciples of Anu and you start gaining their technology from them, you'll even be able to incorporate some of these mutations into your own men.
Right.
If you get friendly with New Jericho, you'll be able to use cybernetic augmentation in your men as well. So depending on who you ally with, you'll have different options. And that's another one of the important features with Phoenix Point, is we want it to have replayability.
Yeah.
So if you play through the game again, you ally with a different faction, you'll have different technology available, you'll get a different ending depending on who you're allied with when you complete it. You'll see different enemy mutation variations in different orders. So you're not going to play the game and go, well, I know which enemies come in which order, so I know exactly what equipment I need to produce to deal with them. So there's going to be an element of surprise in there.
Is this map? Is this the specific location you went to, or are they like randomly generated? Or?
So all of the maps in Phoenix Point are procedurally generated. There are different tile sets depending on whether it's a New Jericho, a Synedrian, Independent. We haven't got them all into the current build yet, so the one that we're looking at now, even though this is an independent haven, the tile set this is actually using is the Disciples of Anu Slum District.
Right.
So there'll be different tile sets and then different districts for each tile set. Once you've been to a location and it's been generated, if you return there later again, it will be the same. It won't have altered.
Right.
Also, when it comes to base defense, because this is something that XCOM players really wanted, was old-style base defense missions where when you build a base and you have to defend it, what you actually get is the base that you built.
Oh, right.
So when you're doing a base defense mission, if you've placed your facilities in a certain configuration, that is what you will be fighting in when you do the base defense mission, which is good because it adds an extra layer of strategy. You can plan where you put those sensitive buildings, so hopefully they're a bit more protected and try and create choke points.
Yeah, that's great.
So at first look, if you're familiar with like the Firaxis remake of XCOM, it looks like we've got this blue line and this yellow line, which in XCOM is like one action point, two action points.
Sure.
It's like the move and shoot, or shoot and move, or do a dash. In Phoenix Point, even this blue line just sort of represents how far you can move and still have enough time units left to shoot with the currently equipped weapon. Right. But you can actually, if you want, just move a tile at a time. So you don't have that sort of 2-point action system. It is basically moving one tile at a time there. And another thing that we have, again, which sort of makes us a bit more unique, is that as well as the normal firing mode, you actually have this free aim. And this allows you to sort of fine-tune where the shot is going to go.
Right. So
we use a realistic physics simulation for the ballistics. So instead of it just being a dice roll, you've actually got sort of physical objects that will land within that outer circle.
Right.
So there's all shots will land inside the blue circle.
Yeah.
And there's about a 50% chance of shots landing within the inner circle.
Right.
There. So this isn't a guaranteed hit because bullets could go in this area and miss the target. But bullets will damage whatever they hit. So if there's another bad guy standing behind it, or even one of your own men, no one is immune to being hit by a spray of bullets. It's also quite useful, of course, because if there's something behind cover, you can just shoot through the cover. The terrain is fully destructible in Phoenix Point.
Cool.
So we can try and make a bit of a mess of this guy. Might miss wildly, but this is an assault rifle, so it fires 6 shots.
Right.
And the reason this line is kind of jittering around is because it's telling us what the rough estimation of damage could be if we get a hit. As we target different body parts, we can find out sort of what the body part is. So this is the pincer, and it has 2 armor. So if I hit it with a shot that does 3 damage and it's got 2 armor, it's only going to do 1 damage per shot, which is not an awful lot. If I manage to hit it in the torso, it's only got 1 armor, so I'm going to do a lot more damage to it. So we'll go ahead and take the shot. And I actually hit more shots there than I expected to. So we did pretty well there. We've caused damage to its torso and its arms, so you can disable body parts, which is really useful. If I hit this guy in the head and disable the spitter head, then I don't have to worry about that particular attack anymore.
Sure.
If I disable the pincer arm, I don't have to worry about the melee attack. So you've got that strategy where you can go, well, okay, I can't kill the guy, but maybe I can just disable him.
Your ability and how your bullet physics work against the enemy, does that come back to you as well?
Yeah, so it works the same way with the enemy fire. The enemy doesn't tend to sort of fine-tune the aim. They'll just kind of use the auto-aim, which will sort of fire at the centre of mass. So it's the player that has the ability to really fine-tune where the shots go, but the physics behind it are still the same. So we've got a sniper here. Obviously, he can't move very far and still be able to shoot, but because he's got a sniper rifle, that circle is much smaller because of his weapon accuracy. So I could aim right for the head if I wanted to. This is almost guaranteed to hit. So this is probably where it misses. But there we go, straight in the head, so that's one less to have to worry about. We've got our heavy over here as well. And one of the things the heavy can do, which is quite useful, is he actually has this jetpack ability. It's really good if you want to get up onto high ground and give him a good sort of view of the map. Now the heavy has a lot of armor, so he can actually take a few hits and he'll just sort of shrug it off, but at the same time he's quite slow and he can't get up ladders either, so he's very reliant on the jetpack. And then finally at the back here we've got the technician, and we'll just run him forwards. He's a little bit more squishy. He's better at close range because he has that PDW. It's not going to get those guys that are standing a mile away. If I look at these guys, you can see how big the circle is now. The chance of hitting there is next to nothing. So I wouldn't particularly bother with that. And then of course we've got Overwatch. If you're worried about something attacking from a specific direction, you can go ahead and set the Overwatch, and you can choose how close it activates. So I think this guy might try and come around in this direction, so I'm just going to set the Overwatch there. This will be where he goes around the other way and just catches me out, but that's fine.
The challenge of demoing these things.
I'll put this guy on Overwatch in this direction. He'll probably just shoot my other assault in the back just to, be annoying. Can't quite move him out the way, so let's go ahead and end the turn and give the enemy an opportunity to show us what they've got.
Here they come with their big old arms.
So on this particular battle, all of the crabmen are going to be the same, but if you've got multiple enemy bases within sort of range of the mission that you're doing, you might find you've got multiple different mutations. So what he's doing there's actually a crate with some resources in, and if I get to those crates fast enough, I can rescue them, but they're going to go ahead and try and destroy them before I can reach them.
Crabmen.
Because they don't like boxes.
They hate boxes. That's classic crab behaviour.
Yeah, it's... I don't know what the boxes did to crabs at some point in the past, but they really do not like them. See, so that one just deployed its shield there, so directional facing is very important because, as we've already demonstrated, different body parts have different amounts of armor. So while the concept of flanking doesn't really exist, sometimes shooting at something from a certain angle will allow you to hit a more vulnerable body part.
Right, yeah.
So these guys will always try and deploy that shield towards you. Which means getting a shot against them is going to be very difficult. But if you can get around behind them or hit them from the side, you have a much better chance. Oh, he's gone to the right. Technician takes him down.
Nice.
I think that's the first time that's ever happened for me and worked out. Now this guy's getting particularly close, but he's gone and put his shield down there, and the turn is mine. So you can see if I look at this guy with my technician, he's well and truly behind that shield. I mean, I could try and hit him in the leg or something, or maybe even go for the head, but he's got a lot of cover there. So your
reticle there was a lot smaller. Is that because they're closer?
That's because they're closer. Yes. So if I go ahead and sort of just run around behind him, and then take that shot again.
Oh yeah.
Now he's in a bit more trouble. So we could go ahead and just try and take the pincer out if we wanted, or I've got a very good shot on the head there. So
nice.
So we've actually damaged his pincer. We did manage to hit it. It isn't completely destroyed, so he can still use it. His head's disabled, so he's not going to be spitting anymore. But we get another shot. Down he goes.
There we go.
And I still have some movement left with this guy, so I can go ahead and tuck him into cover if I want.
And that's the difference with this sort of time system, that you're free to kind of apply it throughout the turn as you want.
Yeah, so it's more like the original XCOM, where you have this series of time units, which is represented by this bar along the bottom. And you can basically perform actions in any order as long as you've got enough time units remaining to do it. I was trying to find my heavy up here. Not too sure if you can see anybody right now, but he does have this heavy cannon. Not too... excuse me, losing my voice. Not too accurate.
Yeah.
But let's take a gamble, see what happens.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, we missed. That's the worst that can happen.
Yeah. Go.
Move forward with a few more people, because we're bound to trigger something.
Overwatch is your friend.
Yeah, I don't think there's any... Oh, there is a couple over on this side. So another concept that we have in Phoenix Point is willpower. Different abilities... Oh, excuse me, I'm really losing my voice.
That's right.
Different abilities consume willpower. And if your willpower gets too low, it can increase the chance of your guys panicking. We've gone very much for this sort of... oh, thank you very much.
There we go.
I told you it's been a long day.
The magic water comes in.
Magic water.
That's from one of our special tactical
gin?
classes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Much needed. So as you perform certain actions, you actually spend your willpower to do them. And the danger of doing that is if that willpower gets too low, you can actually panic. And your soldiers can actually suffer long-term psychological effects if their willpower is constantly too low.
Right.
So you really want to manage it, and that's one of the ways we sort of stop people from spamming these abilities. So most of the abilities aren't cooldown based. You can use them as often as you want, as long as you've still got willpower.
How's the willpower communicated in the game?
It is the blue line down here, and you can see certain abilities. So this has 25% action point cost, but no will points.
Yeah.
Overwatch used to cost will points. We're still experimenting with balance at the moment, so things do sort of change from build to build. But then you have an ability that allows you to recover will points. We have to give up an entire turn to do it, though.
Oh, right.
So it costs us all of our action points, but it will let our will points recover. You can also recover your will points by killing enemies as well. And you lose willpower if you take a hit or lose a soldier. So you do have to kind of manage that carefully.
Is there any time pressure in the individual battles to sort of beat them in a certain time, or are you sort of free to tackle it as you wish?
We don't have hard time limits, so you're not going to be in a position where you've got like 8 turns to complete a mission. But like on this particular instance where we've got crates, they are being destroyed by the enemy. Right. So there is a bit of pressure to get a move on, otherwise you're going to sort of lose access to them. So what I've just done there is I managed to get my sniper next to one of these crates, and that's got some equipment in, and if we want we can go ahead and take something out of that crate. These are all automatically recovered at the end of the mission, providing the enemy don't destroy them.
Right.
But there is a manufacturing system in the game to create new weapons and ammo, but you can also just salvage it from these mission sites if you want to as well.
Fantastic.
So it will be salvageable stuff on the battlefield. There will be loot, so you'll be able to kill enemies, you'll be able to pick their equipment up. If you know how to use that particular bit of equipment, you'll be able to, pick up an enemy gun and use it against them. So do we have... I think we'll probably just go for one more Overwatch and then just end the turn and see what the enemy throws at us.
Come on, enemy. Come and engage us. Show us what you're made of.
Just because this is like one of the first missions, so it's just got a single enemy type in, but we've got a lot of different enemies in Backer Build 4, which is the current sort of pre-alpha demo build that we've got. We've just added the Chiron, which is a very big mobile artillery that just fires goo that sticks you to the ground.
Oh no.
So the aliens are just taking some time to decide what they're going to do here, so I shall take the opportunity to have a drink.
Yeah. Gain some willpower.
I can hear stuff shuffling around in the background. There's definitely movement going on.
Yeah. Oh, they're after these crates.
I know,
That's the coward's choice.
It's like,
fight a crate.
don't, at least while they're hitting the crates, they're not hitting me. I suppose that's the one advantage to it, really, but maybe there's just something really tasty inside the crates that...
Something that crabs like.
Ooh, what do crabs eat? Is it
I don't know. I used to go crab fishing. What did it? Yeah, yes,
little fish.
Other fish.
Obviously, must be crates full of little fish. That's it.
It's a fish yard. They're trying to work out what they're up to.
So you do see these markers here, which indicate that you've sort of heard a sound, but you can't actually see what it was because you've got no line of sight. But a sound came from there, so we know that there's something
up
in that direction.
It's probably a crab punching a crate. I'm willing to guess.
Quite possibly. I would.
Based on what else we've seen in this turn.
I would place money there. So, are you attacking a crate? Yes, you are. Right?
Yeah.
There we go. So, we're still tweaking with the AI at the moment. Again, because it's pre-alpha, and at the moment they're just pretty much targeting crates. They're a very high priority for them at the moment. There's also a lot of bad guys on this level, I've just noticed.
Absolutely rammed.
And ammo management is important, so you don't have infinite ammo. So if you don't bring enough ammo with you on a mission and you can't find any in these crates, you're going to be struggling. Although I have seen these guys sort of like do some dumb stuff. They will shoot each other in the back.
Really?
Crabmen aren't particularly bright. I'm guessing I probably don't have an incendiary grenade with me. Sometimes I do and I get really lucky. But so we've got a fully destructible terrain system. I'm just going to go ahead and fire a grenade at this crabman over here. Let's just go and get some explosives going. And so there we go. So everything just starts to get blown around. We did quite a lot of damage there. We've disabled most of it. Both its arms, its head, its legs. It's not going anywhere. It's going to bleed out. That guy's absolutely done for now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with the results there. There's another couple over there, but I don't think I can get close enough to really do anything about that. We'll give it a go. I was hoping I could set something on fire because we've got some really neat fire effects in this build. So I'm probably going to destroy the crate if I do this, and it's probably a bad idea, but there's just something about grenades that says you have to use them.
Yeah, that's it.
So there we go. We've destroyed some more of them. That's all we needed.
Stuff get blown up.
Right, you guys. I put you up on the roof so you could hit stuff. Are you actually going to hit anything? I mean, it's a long shot. I grant you, but and he missed again.
This guy's
obviously his
least valuable player.
His helmet is obviously causing him a few issues there. So one thing I can do with the technician, it probably won't get much of an opportunity to fire, but he does have this quite useful turret, and this thing will take automatic shots at anything that sort of get within its range that get close.
Oh, okay.
And we just move him out of the way a little bit and zoom back out so we can see what we're doing. Got my snipers. The snipers can actually move quite far. It's just they can't move quite far and fire. That's their problem, really. They do have a pistol, of course, and they can move much further and still use the pistol. So we can go and explore this crate if we want to. We gain some willpower automatically for finding the crate. And there's a lot of stuff in there. Oh, that's nice. Would you look at this? This thing has a flamethrower in it.
Oh, yeah.
It also has quite useful some... Are these the incendiary grenades? No, they're not the incendiary ones. Oh, I really wanted the incendiary grenades. I'm very tempted to get someone to pick that that flamethrower up.
So I'm guessing only certain weapons limited to certain classes.
There are, yeah. So there are some things that can be used by multiple classes, unless you get the proficiency for it. So because you can actually train your troops up and get new abilities for them. You can give them proficiencies for different weapons that they wouldn't normally have. Well, there goes one crate.
What I do love about these demos at things like Res is when people give you like a battle from a wider game and they're really invested in decisions which would only make sense in the wider game, even though they're at Res playing a battle which has no repercussions.
I mean, that's
they're like,
thing.
oh, I've got to get to this crate, and you're like, you really don't.
Like, it really doesn't matter. The only reason I really wanted to get that flamethrower is because it's just so cool burning stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He's very excited about that crate, isn't he?
He knows it's supper time if he gets in.
One of the things I do like about this is our sound guy actually went and created a whole language for the crabmen. So
really?
Whenever you hear them making their little shouts and battle cries and talking to each other, it's not just gibberish. He actually has made like an entire vocabulary for them, and that there are translations. We haven't told anybody what they mean yet, apart from a couple of basic words. So we're hoping that people will have fun trying to work out what they're actually saying to each other while they're doing stuff.
He's saying, "Get the crate."
Yeah, get the crate.
Get the crate.
Get that crate.
The other one says, "Yes, I hate crates too."
Is he? Oh, he actually went for an acid spit there, but I think he actually missed and hit this this gas tank because it was kind of in the way. So this is the good thing about cover. You don't need to be next to it for it to be effective. It's a physical barrier. As long as it's between you and what is trying to hit you, there's a chance that it's going to block the shot. So. But some of the crabmen variations can actually be quite nasty to your guys, not just crates. But he's deploying his shield there. I think he was expecting the crate to attack back. And
can all the mutant enemies evolve in this way?
Yeah, some have more mutation options than others. It very much depends on the enemy type. But it is something that we are interested in sort of continuing, even post-launch of the game, is through sort of DLCs and even free updates, is adding more mutation types. That was actually the technician's turret there.
Oh,
sort of auto-firing at this guy that was standing there. Unfortunately for me now, he's now right next to my sniper. But he's got his pistol equipped, so we can just go ahead and like
pop him.
Shoot him right in the back. That's probably the floor. There we go. Can we shoot you in the something? That's the shield. You try and shoot you in the back of the head.
Yeah, I'll do it. It would be bad
did some
if you
damage
missed.
to him. So there is a mechanic that we actually have called return fire. Now, luckily none of these guys have it because these particular crabmen don't have machine guns. But the ones that have return fire will just shoot back at you once you take a shot at them. Those guys, they're not particularly happy.
Which character is it who can use the flamethrower?
The heavy can use the flamethrower because this is just sort of like the basic build. He's probably not going to get to it. I'm really determined to try and hit something with this cannon. I mean, it's his signature weapon here. I can't see that guy down on the ground. So this guy's kind of behind cover. Probably not going to hit him, but third time's the charm. There we go. We almost took the fence down.
Yeah, that's better than nothing.
But again, this is a useful tactic you can have. You can actually just destroy bits of cover. So that bit of fence has now disappeared. So if we were able to get another shot with the heavy now, that cover is out of the way.
Nice.
But it does mean you can sort of move in with somebody else, get yourself a nice line of fire, and then we can just go and just finish him off the old-fashioned way.
That's how you do it. I just think we're actually running quite low on time.
Yep,
so
sure.
I'm probably going to have to wrap up here.
So,
but so when can people finally get their hands on Phoenix Point?
We're releasing in September. We're going to be on PC, Mac, and Xbox. We have early access available right now, which is pretty much the build that I am currently playing. We update it every couple of months. The early access build can only be purchased directly from our store, which is buy.phoenixpoint.info, and that basically gets you straight into this sort of current version of the backer build. So
people could be in here shooting crabmen in the head and destroying fences with massive cannons.
And trying to defend crates.
And
sometimes civilians, it's not just crates.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's all happening in this demo build.
No problem at all.
Thanks so much for talking us through it. There's loads here. I think I'm just gonna play this build for the rest of the day. That's what.
There's a lot going on and far more than we can show in half an hour.
That's my plan. But thank you for talking us through it. Much appreciated.